Okay, perfect.
Okay, I'm going to record.
Okay, and me, I remember to record. Okay, right. Okay, so just going to pop everybody on mute. I'm not sure who we have. Oh, there's an iPhone that's come and gone. Do you know who that is, Karen?
Sorry?
There was an iPhone in here just now. It didn't have a name on it,
Oh,
but it's just gone.
no, I
Whether
don't know.
someone's-
I didn't notice. Oh,
Oh, here, I don't know who this lady is though.
should we let her in?
Yeah.
We'll find out. Oh, it might be Anne.
Or maybe.
You don't mean me, do you? I turned my video
No,
off.
I can see your name. It's just the other one that said, it just says iPhone, so I'm not sure.
Oh, is that Anne?
Is that-
Yes,
Oh,
Is
hi,
Anne.
Anne.
Hi, Anne.
evening. Sorry I'm a bit late.
That's okay.
No problem.
Good.
I just couldn't see properly. I wasn't sure who it was because it just says iPhone.
Oh, that's
And you're
me.
clearly not an iPhone. Was it you that we locked in another room last time on Zoom somewhere?
That's it. I
You're getting
thought,
used to
oh
our
my God,
shenanigans.
how do I do this? Am I doing this right?
Oh, so it's Sue in.
Just making sure everybody's muted. I've muted you, Anne.
Oh, Gemma's here.
Flurry of latecomers.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll let you start, Karen, shall I?
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming. I don't think Suzanne needs much of an introduction, but she'll get one anyway. So tonight we've got Suzanne talking about 3D to 5D, ascension, chakras. These are all things that Suzanne talks about on her course, which she's going to talk about, and taking the woohoo out of spiritual, that she's very good at. I've actually done her course once and sat on it a second time, which I learned something both times around, so thoroughly recommend that if you haven't done it. So I will pass over to Suzanne. Take it away.
Thank you very much. So you were a big help to me on the last course. It's nice to have a right-hand woman.
Oh, you're welcome.
So yeah, thank you for that. So hi everybody, some of you here, a few of you have obviously been on my class and already know what I do. So I'm going to try and make my talk a little bit different to what you may have heard before. I'm going to share some slides and come back into the room for some of the talk so that you're not just looking at slides and it's kind of death by presentation. My slides are they always have too many words on them, but they're part of my course. So I tend to leave them there so that it's all in there for the people when they come on the class and they've got all the info. So I'll switch backwards and forwards. Now, as this is being recorded, not that what we'll do is if I share this anywhere else, it doesn't go out with the chat at the end of the presentation when people ask questions, because obviously that gives people the space to just feel free to ask questions. But when I come off the presentation, obviously you'll be able to see all your faces. If during the presentation part, I come off and we're doing the meditation, you don't want to be visible, just turn your camera off for that bit. All right, so it's just giving you the option so that you're not feeling like your face is being shared all over the place. Does that make sense? And when I share, I'll start from where the presentation starts. All right. Okie dokie. Right, let's share my screen. Okay, can you all see that okay? Is that okay, Karen? Yeah? Yeah, Okay, so I'm not going to put it in full screen because for some reason it just completely locks me out of moving my slides. So this will do. So this is the first slide of one of the classes that I run. So I'm just going to explain a little bit first about my background and then get into what I'm here to talk about today. So my experience as a practitioner is 27 plus years, I think, something around that. I started out doing like massage and beauty and stuff like that way before, and then 20 something years ago did clinical and remedial massage, which is a bit like physio. I recently gave that up before Christmas because that was getting too hard and very physically draining. So I'm focused more on all my other therapies. So I'm more focused now on being an energy practitioner and working with energy and helping people release and realize their own energy and goals, get well in lots of different ways other than just the physical. As you can see on the slides, I'm a body talk practitioner. That includes breakthrough and mindscape. So that's an accumulation of consciousness-based energy therapies where you work out what somebody's triggers are. There's quite a basis in science, but it's also very tuned into your kind of intuition and your innate wisdom. You're working with what is a priority for the person and not, my ego getting in the way and saying what is right or wrong for somebody. You're kind of creating a formula and then bringing that into your consciousness. So we're 95% unconscious, and a lot of the surface, under the surface stuff is just our baggage, and we're not able to see for ourselves how we can kind of clear all of that. So it's about bringing it to the surface, having it seen, and then, these things tend to get less of an impact on your life once you work out what your triggers are, your belief systems, and then how to work with that. Including breakthrough and mindscape training. This gives me all sorts of other tools to use to tap into my intuition while I'm working. I run mindfulness and meditation groups as well. I teach and practice Rouhani celestial healing. That's very based in the 5th dimensional energies, so that's different to Reiki. I haven't put that on here. I'm a Reiki master, but I don't teach that anymore. So I've left that out for now. It's not that this is better than or worse than or anything like that. It's just a different energy. Reiki is very earth-based, and the Rouhani celestial healing is more based towards how we're going to move towards creating a new earth, if you like. So I'll explain a bit more about that in a minute. So it runs alongside that really nicely. I also practice divine healing. Again, that's a really good add-on to what I do. The body talk system creates my framework, and then I add in all the other therapies in a session on a one-to-one, and I bring them all into my groups and classes as well. So it's all a combination of all of my training, basically. For my Rouhani practitioners, we have ongoing ascension training with that, healing circles, workshop coming up, which I'll explain at the end, coming up with Karen. And what was the date for that? Do you remember? May something. Karen can't unmute.
Sorry, no, I couldn't unmute, mister.
What's the date for the workshop?
7th of May.
Okay, we'll explain a little bit more about that later.
Yeah.
Thank you. And one coming up with Rosemary as well. Again, we'll talk about that a little bit later. And my website is soulfrequencies.co.uk. I sell EMF protection as well, because I believe in that, and I had a struggle to work online to start with, as I'm very sensitive. And there are a few others in the group that also sell these products. And I sell Tropic skincare products because I love it, and it's ethical, natural, vegan, and all the rest of it. So if you see me on Facebook popping up other things, it's because that it's kind of just an add-on, if you like. It's not my main business. So these are the ascension chakras. I'll talk a little bit about what they are in a second. So there are 12 main ones, but there are others now coming in. As time goes by, we have more chakras, and there are many other systems going on as well. So the 7 chakra system is still very relevant, and we can still practice everything that we practice with those. It's not taking anything away from those. It just means that these are add-ons. it's a really good way to work with these tools to work through the shadow stuff of the original 7 chakras in order to have these as kind of overlays and step into more of your mastery in your soul's journey. And again, living in this heart-based new way of living on earth together as communities and helping each other, and how that can look different to what is going on now, which, you know, is obviously all a bit troubling. So 10,000 years ago, golden Atlantis fell through the misuse of energy and plunged our planet into thousands of years of lower vibrational energy into a 3D experience. So before the fall of Atlantis, we had a 12 chakra system. So that kind of, we had that already, and then that was taken away. Part of this fall was to into an experience so that we went back into a 3D kind of density, if you like, in order to learn to process through our shadow aspects again, because the energy of, you know, there was everything. There was telepathy and, you know, crystals being used to run things. It just all got out of control. They started cloning. There's a massive amount of information out there if you want to go and look for it. A massive subject. So I'm not going to go into that too much. But basically, we've had to work back through the shadow stuff in order to get why we can't live like that and do that again. So we're going more back towards a kind of lighter, heart-based way of living and into the divine feminine, which has been quite detached for a very, very long time because we've been ruled by a patriarchy. So I'm just going to come off sharing for a moment because there's just too many words on the slide. So let's just pop you over here. 2 seconds. So we are now in the rise of the divine feminine. And the more we work with this, the more mass consciousness we have in that energy. This has come back more into play since 2012 as a kind of blueprint of who we are and the frequency of this coming more into our subtle senses. So the subtle senses are the intuitive aspect of who we are: touch, taste, sight, sound and smell, you know, that knowing and all those senses that kind of, in a lot of people lie dormant, or they're using them, they're not really realizing, and other people are really very aware. Now these come and go for, you know, everybody, unless you practice these often, because it's like exercising a muscle, and sometimes they'll, you know, you lose some senses and then you'll gain others. So it's a bit, you know, again, you come in and out of this 3D to 5D existence as well. We're going backwards and forwards. So as we move forward into kind of a new way of living, the new earth, if you like, just to give it a name, we're learning to clear the baggage, especially sacral chakra energy. We're in a huge shift on the whole planet in this space, stepping into our truths, our inner power, in order to transcend the lower energies that are kind of taking up too much room in world news, if you like. And learning to move out of the density in that, and working together again as communities and a heart-based society, and learning to live in a much more well-balanced, kind, loving way. So in our kind of true nature with each other, from human doings to human beings, I like that saying. We're very much, a lot of us, in that human doing energy. A lot of us here are therapists, so that's not necessarily the case. But I'm also obviously guilty of doing too much, and then I'm not being in that space, which is why I'm tired at the moment, because I've done too much. There will be many different perspectives for this, and some people will carry on as they were. That's absolutely fine. Some people will just see the world as it is. Sadly, you know, watching too much news, even if you want to stay up with current affairs, is, you know, that can be quite damaging in itself, wherever your beliefs are. I've got many clients now in, you know, real anxious distress at what's going on in the world, when they feel helpless to do anything, and they're getting quite ill. So I'm dealing with quite a lot of fallout, which I'm sure many of us here are doing the same. A way forward especially as therapists and practitioners and people in this mindset, is to try and live seeing beyond, you know, what's going on, further than that, beyond the veil of separation, beyond the patriarchal control systems. So it's like know what's going on, choose where you stand, and then where you're going to make a difference. And then where you can make a difference in people's lives, then you can help others to do that. You can bring other therapists along and your clients and just help them live in a much more kind of heart-based way, where they fill up their own cup first. And that is something that, as a practitioner, and I'm sure you're all aware, we're a bit guilty of, you know, ending up with working from an empty cup. So really we need to be filling our own cup up first. So there was the harmonic convergence in 1987. Again, a big mass amount of energy came to the planet, a lot more light workers, a lot more kind of people coming online, if you like, into their spiritual gifts. And some of us here have had those since we're born, some more than others. There is going to be a lot of work in heart coherence meditations and stuff. I don't know if any of you, I know some of you are aware of Rory Duff. He's creating a sacred network group, and he's mapped the ley lines of the worlds and where all the energy portals, not the right word, the nodes where the most energy are, where ley lines cross and things like that, where you can learn heart coherence meditation, and really connect with the earth to help that shift, to help move the planet and Mother Earth into a space of, you know, change and harmony, sharing with nature, bringing that kind of love energy in, and creating different communities within the people we know to live in. So working with the chakras are really good tools for making these changes. So each chakra holds the information of how we process energy. So our thoughts, emotions, and then they can end up in our physical body. So often we can have a thought, our mind's out here, and then our brain, the habit brain, will attach to that thought because it's part of our story, and then it stuffs it somewhere in your body that's part of that habit. And that's how our physical body ends up getting sick often, because it's the densest, it's still energy, we're hundreds of billions of cells interacting, but the physical body is the densest of the energy bodies. And quite often, if things are not caught elsewhere, they'll end up in the physical, and then you're clearing from a slightly different space. But you still need to access the mental, emotional, physical, spiritual energy bodies and work through those layers. So when you have healing, it's like peeling an onion. You're going to where the priority of what that person is ready to shift. And you're not going to be able to, like, if someone comes for a treatment and says, well, how many sessions will I need to have? And they've had something chronic, you know, for 10 years. It's not going to go away in one session. It's a commitment to being well, joining a class, a course, having regular therapy with somebody in order to work through that as and when their body is ready to create those changes. If you lost all your filters in one go, or suddenly got well, it actually would overload your body and be too much. You would go into shock. There would be too much energy to shift in one go. So that's why it's a process. And sometimes you can work on something and then think, well, I've worked on that last time, but it's a different part of the body that this energy is stuck in, and you have to, you know, work on all the layers that come up. So this is why I like working with the chakra systems, because it gives you those tools to work with in order to see where the energy is stuck, and then how we can kind of get to a better space with that. So I'll show you that in a second. So 5G chakras are without any blocks. They don't have any baggage with them. So the overlays, again, you'd be going gradually in and out of that as well. You're not just going to suddenly have your 5D chakras up and running and nothing else going on, because we are still living in a human existence, and that will again go backwards and forwards between the two as and when you're ready to clear the energy. So it's not a race or a sudden fix. It's a journey of, you can go through life kicking or screaming, or you can learn to have support in doing that and work through it a little bit more gently. So I'm going to share again now. Two seconds, my screen's frozen. Here we are. Can you see that? Yeah. Okay. So these are just some ideas around what blocks the chakra system. So in the crown, so this is the 7 chakra system at the moment. It could be withholding knowledge, lack of support, fanatical ideas around religion. The heart, just to give you some examples, loss or rejection, abandonment, abuse, anything like that. So your chakras can be out of balance for many, many different reasons that happen in your life. They can either be in excess or they can be deficient. So sometimes, you know, when we're saying, well, let's open the chakras, if somebody's chakras are too open, that's actually going to be too much energy. So we use the words bringing them into balance in case they're in excess and they need actually to be pulled in a little bit, if that makes sense. When they're deficient, they'd be very low on energy, and that's kind of different issues you have depending on where the energy is of each chakra. Different, you know, kind of emotional, mental issues can come up with each chakra, like anger, for example, could be about, you know, needing to make changes. Anger can be a healthy emotion, but in it, again, in excess, or if it's repressed and suddenly there's a big explosion, then obviously it's not a healthy way to process the anger. So working with the energy bodies to balance the emotions in your body also helps the physical, because, like, for example, in Body Talk, we do the consciousness of all the body parts, organ, endocrines, and everything has its own consciousness. So the liver, the consciousness of the liver is anger in all of its, you know, suppressed anger or frustration or, you know, feeling irritated, but sometimes that can be really motivating. But if it gets out of balance, then that can end up creating some kind of illness in your liver. But it could be also to do with the solar plexus chakra being out of balance, and you may need to work through some stuff that's kind of going on with that instead, or it may be, you know, that there's anger hanging out in one of the other chakras. So it's about putting the pieces together and kind of working through that. Just looking at our amazing bodies as a kind of bigger picture, we are consciousness, energy and matter. We have the power of healing, to accept healing, and we are all capable of becoming channels to heal people, whichever modality you're using. We are vessels for that, if you like. We're not doing the actual healing, we're becoming good channels in order for that energy to come through and go where it's needed. When you're using healing modalities in particular, it's going to where the density is and helping that energy to shift. So somebody may come with an issue in one place in their body, but the energy wants to clear somewhere else. It could be on a meridian. And then, you know, if they've come with a knee issue and you're actually around another part of their body, it's where you're drawn to or where the energy is gone, it could still clear up the knee issue because it could be in relation to something else that's going on somewhere else. So we're not always going to go and focus in on the thing that's kind of somebody's shown up with. And it could be, again, the chakra energy out of balance. So it's very important to be grounded. Again, you know, a lot of us spiritual ladies and gentlemen can be quite ungrounded because it's much more fun hanging out in the upper chakras and being kind of connected. But if we're not grounded, then we're not actually embodying our own lessons often, and we're a bit all over the place. So the Earth's Schumann resonance is 7.83. And, you know, often if we are surrounded by a lot of EMF energy or lots of other things that are going on around us, all the, you know, Wi-Fi towers and everything, that again can take us out of being grounded. So it's really important to either use earthing tools or, you know, do things each day that are grounded, getting your feet out in nature, stuff like that. I've talked about our senses and subtle senses, the collective consciousness. This is why I like working with group energy, because what happens within the group is that everybody supports everybody else. And when we share during our sessions, again, it's like a group healing, and the collective consciousness raises as a whole group, not just one person having a journey on their own. So it becomes a more supportive, loving space, rather than having a kind of singular healing journey, just as a one-to-one. I love working in group energy. It's quite magical and very healing and nurturing, and it's something that also helps me move through stuff as well. So I've talked all about that. Prayer is also another thing. You know, again, it's got a group consciousness to it, and that obviously makes a big difference too. Crystals, water, sacred geometry, they all have their part to play. We are becoming, you know, we're getting more strands of DNA online, which again have been suppressed, if you like, or the information of that. And then just I like the analogy of the iceberg. See, these are the symptoms, the tip of the iceberg, and this is what's going on underneath. This is all the unconscious, subconscious stuff. And sometimes it just needs to be surfaced in order for it to be seen and felt and validated for us to be well. Okay, those are the colours of the ascension chakras, so they're really rather lovely. Again, they're overlays to the original 7. So I want to move into I'm going to do an exercise with the sacral chakra today, just to help you kind of understand a little bit about how we work in the class. So you've got your kind of 3D aspect of the sacral chakra. You've got all the things that kind of means. You've got energies and emotions that can be stuck there, like fear, especially of death. Fear blocks our creativity and our ability to manifest stuff. It could be a lot of relationship stuff, a lot of shadow work around that. It can, you know, create an issue around guilt or fear or temptation or duty. And really, there's a lot of very lovely aspects to sexuality and sensuality as well, getting that energy flowing, procreation, creativity, sensuality, pleasure, you know, all things that, you know, are very relevant that sometimes are quite blocked. And again, you know, cultural stuff, society stuff, you know, gender and everything else can kind of get in the way of our conditioning and how we've been brought up in the environment and what we watch on the news and everything else. So it's very important to kind of keep an eye on where your energy is going and kind of where your leaky bucket is. The gift here is to experience life through our feelings and sensation, that intimacy and connection with our bodies and others, and learning to, you know, that to feel like a freedom in that, if you like. So that brings that transformation free from conditioning. So the ascension sacral chakra, so Archangel Gabriel is the overseer, the keeper of this in the white ray, bringing through purification, grace and balance. So this white ray energy helps to connect with our divinity, our soul's energy, and working from our heart and integrity. So these are the aspects that the overlay of the ascension sacral chakra can bring in. It's about learning to speak our truth without fear, looking after our inner child and healing from old wounds. There's a lot of work you can do from old wounds in this lifetime, and also a lot in past lives. Stuff that, you know, we don't need to keep going over. Stuff that turns up in our life and we don't even know where that's come from. Can be this the journey your soul has had. So this body mind, Suzanne has never been here before. My soul has had a journey. So, you know, when Suzanne, the human body, passes over, the consciousness of me, or the spirit, the soul, whatever you want to call it, goes back into the pool of consciousness and back again in some other incarnation. Again, a massive subject. This also brings us into connection with a lot of spiritual relationships. Now, I don't know about you guys, I know some of you, I've made a lot of very good friends in the last 2 years, and amongst all of this turmoil, and a lot of like-minded people who, you know, have come together to support each other, you know, big communities of different people, and it's been really very lovely. And to me, that feels like a really special heart-based spiritual relationship. That's what that kind of means to me, that kind of supportive, unconditional love where you know someone's got your back. And if somebody is needing support or needs to, you know, be held or championed or, you know, congratulated, the group is there to do that with you. So it's a very kind of held space again. And I have made a lot of connections with lots of very lovely people. So this helps also to release the karmic bonds in family relationships, so you can go down your ancestral route as well and bring some kind of freedom from the family baggage. So when you work on that stuff, that's quite magical, because you're clearing the whole kind of genetic line of that energy that kind of exists in families backwards and forwards, so that actually you become the person that pulls the string out, and that kind of energy starts to dissipate. So the energy there is not quite so intense. You realize you're not turning up to the family stories or the baggage anymore. You just become an observer of that, and then you're able to choose whether you're going to pick the rope up or not, or whether to respond rather than react. So that becomes a much more healthy boundaried relationship to have, where you get to choose what your needs are first. And our physical problems can start to dissolve as we integrate the ascension aspect of this chakra. So more on how this looks going from 3D to 5D. So we'll meet challenges when we suddenly change how we're looking at life. I mean, you know, I've got friends of old who know me from school, and they've got their mindset about who I am, and then I've got other friends in different kind of walks of life who they've got their idea about who I am. Some people, I think, you know, years ago probably think I've joined some sort of cult, which is always entertaining. That's fine. You have to just grow and do you. It is uncomfortable, and you are going to be met sometimes if you're in relationships that aren't necessarily healthy. You may find yourself needing to withdraw or really properly sort that out, and then honor that both people in that relationship may need to move away or do the work to come back together. Sometimes when you're on your own personal or spiritual growth, it can feel a frightening thing to do, because you don't want to move away from your partner. And often they'll come with you, or they'll see, you know, how much you're getting out of it, and actually they'll want to join in. And sometimes it just means that you're honoring a space that both people are deserving of having a happy, fulfilled life. And, you know, sometimes that can be a big thing to undertake. And sometimes when you're going off doing different things, or you've cut energy to something that's not healthy, people will try and reattach. Again, this is about maintaining healthy boundaries, honoring our bodies, practicing self-love on every level of our being, and as a being and not a human doing. Again, something we have to go over again and again to really get that. Mastering the higher energy of transcendent love, drawing people together in a more harmonious match in vibration, in your vibration and harmony, because that will be with friendships and groups and partners and everything else. And that can help your whole family as well change and shift when you start looking at life through different lenses. And it can become a much more beautiful space depending on where you're putting your energy. The Ho'oponopono prayer is a really lovely thing to practice around this sort of energy, and I'm going to do that with you guys in a moment. And the energy of I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Saying this over and over is a really powerful way to cleanse the body of any guilt or shame or haunting memories, bad feelings, or anything that keeps us kind of fixated on negative things often, even if it's fear of judgment or forgiveness for something that happened to you, for example. It's not forgiving somebody who's done wrong, but it's creating forgiveness for a situation, an unconscious situation that's happened, in order to free you into being able to live a much more filled life without actually reliving that over and over, what happened in the past. It will take practice and obviously nurturing when something's been particularly bad, obviously not just saying a prayer. That would need to be worked on more intensely with a one-to-one. But as daily practice for the little things that we all get caught up in, it's a really good thing to follow. So yeah, I'm going to do. So the art of forgiveness, the Ho'oponopono, the ancient Hawaiian healing prayer, is about taking responsibility for what we can change. We have to learn to let go of things that we can't. We can only fix ourselves. Nobody else can make us happy, fix us, or do anything without us taking responsibility for ourselves and gratitude for the things that we have got in our lives. So we're accessing the conscious, subconscious, and the supraconscious minds with the power of prayer to act, to process self-identity, cleanse and clear and free yourselves from the past, connect to your source energy, whatever that means to you, whether it's God or source or whatever you want to call it, is absolutely fine. So when you forgive, you're freeing yourself from bringing healing to yourself and to a situation. Hanging on to a hurt is like drinking poison and expecting it to kill your enemy. That's a really good saying from Nelson Mandela. So I'm going to come off sharing. And if at this point you prefer to have your camera switched off because we're going to go into a meditation, then please do. So just settle your energy down into a nice relaxed space. Just focus on your breathing. Just relaxing on your out breath, and clearing that tension that you can feel from wherever you can feel it. Try and relax on the in-breath as well, and just let your lungs and your diaphragm expand. Feel into the places of your body where you can feel discomfort, just an awareness or a sensation where you're conscious of yourself in your body-mind system. Just breathe and relax into that space. Just bring your awareness down to your feet, your base chakra, out through your feet into the earth star chakra. So allowing your roots to go down and be grounded into the earth star and then into Mother Earth. Feeling that connection. Feeling that grounding. Allow yourselves to connect up to healing energy, whatever that means to you. And allow the healing to come into this space. And if you work with guides, feel free to call them in for the highest good, knowing that you're safe and protected. Allow yourselves now to become an observer of what flows, what comes through for you. Let go of any attachment to an outcome. Just give yourselves permission to truly let go of something that no longer serves you. Bring your awareness to your sacral chakra and your pelvis. You can put your hand there if you'd like to. Just being aware of that energy there in that space. Maybe orange, or it may be the ascension color of pink, luminous pink, whatever shows up for you. Have an awareness to all of your senses, what you can feel. That inner sight, that inner hearing, that knowing awareness. And also bringing your awareness to your heart center, your heart chakra. And if you'd like to, bring your other hand to your heart chakra for support of any energy that may need to clear from your sacral energy and wherever that has ended up in your body-mind system. So I'm going to bring you now into the prayer of the Ho'oponopono to release and bring you into harmony with your body. And as I say the words, either in your mind or out loud, if you're in a space where you can do that, I'd like you to repeat the words. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Bring your awareness, saying these words to yourself, tuning into your higher self, allowing this to clear any energy from wherever it's needed. And repeat the words again. Just allow whatever needs to shift, any energy that needs to move, just allow that to process. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Or I'm sorry. Have an awareness to where that is in your body. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Allow any sensation or feeling to come up without attachment. You're just observing the energy, allowing this to move and release whatever's ready to be released. Breathe into your heart space. Bring support and loving energy to wherever it's needed. Place your hands on your heart center if you haven't already done so. Feel into that loving energy, bringing yourself back to your center in your heart space. Feeling that support for yourself and that harmony and balance of self-healing. Allow the energy to move and expand, filling every space of your body, connecting into the energy of the sacral chakra. Allowing this energy to support and help anything that needs to clear from this space. Bringing your sacral into a healthy, loving relationship that you have with yourself. Take another deep breath and become aware of your body. The weight of your body on your chair and your feet on the floor. Aware of your surroundings. And very gently just come back into this space when you're ready. Just if you are able to, I know some are staying behind the camera, but for those that were on camera before, just so that I can see you, know that you're awake and you're okay. Some of you may have fallen asleep, thick face, snoozing. So just share for this last bit. While you're all getting yourselves together, have a drink of water if you've got one handy. This is just my last slide to share with you. So I'm excited to be teaching the ascension chakras again, and the reason why I work with these as tools. That's just a snapshot of some of the things that I bring into my work. Sometimes it's different types of meditation, sometimes it might be mantra, breathing exercises, frequency healing, activations, all sorts of different things we bring in depending on which chakra energy we're working in. So this is just a way of you working through blocks that you may not have recognized in yourself, or you recognize blocks and you don't know how to work with these, and working with clients as well, giving you ideas about how to help them move through different energies. The more we do our own work, obviously the clearer that becomes when you're working with other people. So to a certain extent, as practitioners and people on this kind of healing journey, we do learn to walk our talk. We don't always get that right because we are human doings a lot of the time, and it's a constant learning process to be still for long enough to not be these human doings, be in your being, and learn to, you know, keep an eye on developing your kind of subtle senses. Because if you're fully in your more intuitive flow, then you'll navigate more through life about what's right for you. So when you're making decisions, it either feels like an open, yes, that's for me, or it's a closed, hard no, rather than all the kind of, oh, well, I should do that because that'll make them happy, but I don't really want to do it. And all those millions of duty things that we put on ourselves. Not suggesting that we need to be selfish either, but we need to also remember that our energy is important and filling our own cup. Each session that I go through with people who have 1 or 2 chakras, and I explain and go through the process of that, and then we do some exercises together. And you're very welcome to join us wherever you are in the world. So I had America and Spain last time. This time I think we've got somebody signed up from Canada at the moment, which is fab. That is it. So making sure everybody is okay. Thank you, Julia. That's okay. Thanks for always being such a support and being here every time. We appreciate that.
Thanks, Julia.
Okay.
Okay. Shall I stop the recording then for
Well, we
questions?
can keep it recording. What I'll do is
You'll cut it off.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Okay,
In
thank
case
you.
there's any little nuggets of information that is, you know, of value, because obviously other people share too, and that's always nice to.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Thank you.
experience in this room.
Yeah. Thank you. That was brilliant. That meditation was so relaxing. I had tingles going up down my spine, right from down the bottom where the sacral is, all the way up and down. It was really, really nice.
That's lovely.
So thank you for that.
Something good, whatever it was.
So open to questions. Anyone got questions for Suzanne?
Or a sharing, if you want to
Or-
share
yeah.
your experience.
How was the meditation for everyone?
So just take yourselves off mute, or I can do that if you pop your hand up. Liz?
Well, the meditation was lovely, and it's a long time since I've done that one. And for me, what came up, it was a lot about self-forgiveness, I think, which I was, you know, which was very nice. Yeah, it was lovely. But you forget, don't you, that sometimes it's we kind of have to just love ourselves and forgive ourselves.
Warts and all.
Yes, exactly.
Or that we're being too hard on ourselves in the first place, maybe. But we forget about our relationship to ourselves, and we're busy kind of externalizing that a lot, I think.
But it is a lovely, that whole prayer. It's interesting. I've never heard it called a prayer before, but it was a lovely prayer to be able to do that. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. It's like many of these things, it has a consciousness of its own as well. I mean, as a body talk practitioner, you know that, you know, obviously the cortices technique, because it's done so often by people around the world, it has a consciousness to it. So you're tapping into the collective consciousness.
Yeah.
But that's the same with the Ho'oponopono prayer or mantra or whatever you want to call it, is it's tapping into the consciousness of the clearing that's going on. So that helps the process of us shifting stuff from ourselves as well. So it's not just a kind of singular, you know, action. It reminds us that we are all one energy. We're all one consciousness. wherever we are on that journey of separation or unity. Thank you, Liz. Really nice to see you.
Oh, well, it's lovely to be here. Yes, I can't normally make Mondays, so this is a real privilege.
Oh, thank you. That's lovely. Thank you very much for sharing.
Anyone else want to share or a question?
Lulled them all into a
Yeah,
stupor.
Chrissy said thank you.
Thank you very much. So for you, Karen, you've been on Ask before.
I think for me, understanding of self, just by going through the different chakras, understanding of the 12 chakras was really interesting. And all the meditations, just really, really relaxing and gets you to another place, really develops your intuition, your spirit. It develops your spiritual way of living. So for me, it really helped in many aspects of my life, actually. And just having that time, do you know what I found is you have that time for yourself on your course, which is so nice. So you're not just learning something, you actually got space and time. And as you said, everyone holds that space as well. And there's a really nice bond that builds up in the groups.
Yeah, and each group was kind of different in,
Yeah,
you know, they were equally lovely, but a different dynamic again.
the sharing's lovely. I love the sharing.
Yeah. And the meditations, no matter how I plan them, they will show up differently anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll write something, I'll get something together and then it go off somewhere else, which is the best way, because then you're tuning into what needs to flow instead of, you know, being too organized. I'm one of those that needs to have something in place, so just in case all the information falls out of my ear and then I'm like, oh, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, it's a comfort blanket. And
my own fear, fear of self-judgment going on there.
Yeah, no, I do similar things. I'll have notes and then I go completely off piste and do something else. But
which is better, isn't it? Because you can always come back to your notes.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
So that's good. That's lovely. Yeah. Rosemary, you've come off mute. Are you there?
Yes.
Sorry
about that. My battery is to go low. So now, firstly today, thank you very much. It's very, very enjoyable. The thing that came up for me was balance, and which is, I think, something that is very important for all of us. And I did the course as well. And what I would like to reinforce, or that might be a strong word to use, is being in a group. Oh,
the battery's gone.
No. Rosemary, come back.
Come back. Hopefully she'll plug back in and come back. Being in a group energy, I think she was going to say.
Yeah.
Gemma?
Yeah, I was just going to say, for those of you, I don't know, it seems to me that a fair few of us have done the course already, but
there's a few of you here, yeah.
You haven't.
So thank you for listening again.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. It was really excellent. Like Karen said, having that sort of time just to set aside to spend on yourself, and that bond with the group, I think has been fantastic, and I always love sharing, so
yeah, and you're good at sharing. That's always fun, because that's the sharing is always really valuable for everybody else as well.
Yeah, but it was fantastic, and I think it's given me some various techniques. I mean, the meditations have been fantastic, but just even to give you that technique of sort of tuning into those chakras that you can just do, you know, I just feel that it's been actually really quite powerful. So,
yeah, and you can revisit them as well, which I know you have done.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. I'm hoping Rosemary will come back.
Yeah, bless her. Sue, you want to ask a question?
No, not really. Not to ask a question, but just to
say I've done the course as well, and a bit like you sort of said, it's so relaxing, lovely to be in the group. You get such a lot of help within, and what I was going to say is, this was an example, wasn't it? Sort of like, you were the sacral chakra, but each week you go through different areas and you're clearing so much. And so if anybody's on on a personal development journey, I would thoroughly recommend. So yeah.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
And we all grew together.
Yeah.
Because I think we started that journey probably, well, your group was probably more than 2 years ago. So maybe started, or we're going to start in person, and then we all ended up online. So yeah. And you've been a constant then group through to doing kind of group meditations and stuff with all of us together. So we've
you've got us hooked. Definitely.
Which has been a massive support for all of us. So yeah, very, very lovely. So the next class starts on the 31st, which I think is next Thursday. It's 12 till 2. Oh, here's Rosemary.
Yeah, she's back. So
anybody for example, if somebody can't make the first class, then it's always recorded and you can catch up, and I can always do a half an hour one-to-one to go through it and make sure that somebody's understood the process. But yeah, they're all recorded. The dates are all on my website. And you can, contact me in the group if you want to. I'll put the details up there. Rosemary, yay!
Hi, sorry about that. What I wanted to say was, as you said, was with the power of everyone learning together and how everyone can encourage each other. And that makes such a difference for what you learn. And it kind of reinforces how you learn and how you can apply it during and after the course.
Lovely, thank you. And it was a real honour for me to facilitate that journey, which I also went on myself, obviously, even though I was facilitating. So,
oh no, and thank you very much. I did it and I really benefited from it, and thank you.
Thank you, Rosemary. So Rosemary and I are putting our heads together to get a date in to do a workshop. Rosemary is a whiz on social media, showing up online, websites, all
and
sorts,
Canva.
Canva, yeah, who knew? I know now.
Yes,
and
you've seen a few videos teaching that.
We're going to try and collaborate on helping people who want to show up online and develop their own little classes and how to market yourselves and stuff like that, which I still need help with. That's my thing that I'm not enjoying so much, is the marketing aspect of it. I'd much rather other people said, rather than me going, oh, let's go out and share me. That's awkward for most of us. So yeah, just teaching people how to work through that anyway and show up anyway and push through that fear, which I've had to do. And even showing up online in the first instance,